Greatest common factor. Greatest meaning the biggest or the largest. Common meaning alike or the same. Factor. Two factors multiply together to give you a product. You could have multiple. You don't just have to have two. You could have a lot of factors to give you a product. So, question number one: can I factor out a GCF? We're going to be working on finding some GCFs of some examples here. So I'm looking for the largest number that will go into both 5 and 10 right here, and that number is 5. I can't take an x out of both of those terms. There's only an x in that first term. So now I'm asking myself 5 times what gives me 5x? X plus 5 times what gives me 10? 2. Done. We're kind of working backwards from the distributive property here, factoring out the greatest common factor. On that middle example, 2 and 3 don't have any common factors other than 1, so that doesn't really help me any, but they both have x's here. This one has, 2 x's hanging out right here. This one only has 1 x hanging out here. So in common, the most that I can take out of both of those at the same time would just be 1. And when I, backwards distribute here, x times what gives me 2x squared? That would be 2x plus x times what would give me 3x? 3. So this is my answer here. This is my answer over here. On the last one, I'm noticing that all 3 terms don't have x's. That 6 doesn't have an x connected to it, so I can't factor out an x term. But I know a number that goes into both 2, 4, and 6, and that is 2. So 2 times what gives me x squared? That would just be x squared. Plus 2 times what gives me 4x? That would be 2x. Plus 2 times what gives me 6? 3. I'm going to look at the bottom one. So I got number that'll go into both 3 and 12. Largest one is 3. And that would leave me with x minus 3 times what gives me 12? That would be 4. Largest number that goes into both 30 and 6 would be 6. So both terms have an x value in them. Just 1, right? So there's a 1 hiding up there. So the most I can take out of both of those would be 1. 6x times what gives me 30x squared? 5x. Plus 6x times what gives me 6x? It's just 1. Bottom right, largest number that goes into 4, 8, and 12 would be 4. That would leave me with y squared plus 2y minus 4 times what gives me 12? 3. I am going to work those problems up top. So largest number that goes into both 2 and 12 would be 2. 2 times what gives me 2x? X. 2 times what gives me 12? 6. Next one, large number that goes into both 3 and 6 would be 3. How many x's do they have in common? Well, it's going to be the smallest exponent on each of these. So if you look back at the few that we've done where they've both had x's or y's, I guess, but it's going to be the smallest exponent. So I can take 2 out of both of those. So 3x squared times what gives me 3x cubed? That would be x plus 3x squared times what gives me 6x squared? 2. Largest number that goes into 3, 6, and 3, that would be 3. All 3 terms don't have x's, so just numbers this time. 3 times what gives me x squared? It gives me 3x squared, which would be x squared. Minus 3 times what gives me 6x would be 2x. Plus 3 times what gives me 3? 1. All right, this first one, it's got some x's and y's here. Largest number that goes into both 4 and 10 would be 2. And let me erase that right there. X's. So I'm looking for the lowest exponent here. The most that they have in common will be the lowest exponent. That'd be x squared. And y's, the lowest exponent would be 3. So 2 times what gives me 4? 2. X squared times what gives me x cubed? Just x. And then y cubed times 1 would give me y cubed. So minus 2 times what would give me 10? 5. X squared times what gives me x squared? Just 1. And then y cubed times what would give me y to the 5th? I think it's y squared, I think. Somebody wrote y to the 5th. Let's look down at the bottom left. So largest number that goes into both 3, 18, and 9 would be 3. X's and Y's, we're looking for the smallest exponent, so that would be X and Y just to the first power over there with a 9. There's a 1 hiding up there. So what times 3xy is going to give me 3x to the 6th, y to the 3rd? That's x to the 5th, y squared, minus, that's going to be 6x, y to the 4th, minus 3, I think. Top right, all of those have a common factor of 11. And if I'm looking for the smallest exponent or the most number of m's that I can factor out, that would be m to the 3rd. So 11m to the 3rd times what gives me 11m to the 3rd? 1. Minus 11m to the 3rd times what gives me 33m to the 5th? I think that's 3m squared minus 11m times what gives me 22? That's 2m, I think. Bottom right, just x is here. I think the smallest exponent is going to be x to the 12th power. So this would be x squared minus 1 minus x to the 4th.